The sun had barely risen when Martins dragged his old wheelbarrow through the crowded market. Sweat rolled down his forehead, mixing with dust, as traders shouted prices and customers haggled over tomatoes. Children pointed and laughed. "See banker we don turn Barrow pusher." He forced a weak smile, pretending not to hear. But inside, something cracked. Just a year ago, Martins was the pride of Royal Crest Bank, the manager everyone admired. Clean suits, expensive perfumes, the kind of man whose presence made junior staff sit up straight. People called him Ogre Martins, the gentleman banker. Now here he was, same Martins, different destiny. His downfall came faster than a Lagos rumour. That Monday morning he had strutted into the bank with his usual confidence, greeting the receptionist with a smile. But something was off. People whispered. Eyes followed him, and then he saw it. A white envelope lying neatly on his desk. Termination letter. No explanation, no investigation. Just a cold, typed letter accusing him of theft. His bank accounts were frozen, his cars and house seized. In 1 week, everything Martins had worked for disappeared like data in a bad network. At home, things got worse. His wife Brenda, once sweet and charming, became a daily torment. "Martins, I did not marry a broke man, oh," she'd shout, arms folded, face like thunder. "Other men are buying their wives wigs and iPhones, but my own is pushing wheelbarrow. God, what did I do to deserve this?" Martins would just stare silently, wondering if this was the same woman who once bragged about him at church. But Brenda's betrayal didn't stop at insults. One afternoon, when Martins couldn't bear the shame anymore, he decided to visit his younger brother Felix. Felix had recently graduated and was living large, too large for someone who used to beg Martins for transport fare. Martins hoped to borrow a little money, maybe to pay his son's school fees, but what he found in Felix's house shattered him completely. He walked into the compound quietly. The gate was open, the door too. He called out, "Felix?" No answer. From inside he heard faint laughter, the kind that didn't belong to innocent conversations. He stepped closer, then froze. There, on Felix's bed, was Brenda, his own wife, his brother's lover. For a moment, time stopped. His heart pounded so hard he thought he'd faint. Brenda gasped, grabbed the bedsheet, but Felix didn't even flinch. He stood tall, smirking. "Martins, what are you doing here?" Felix said coldly. "You should have called before coming." Martin's lips trembled. "Felix, Brenda, why?" Felix laughed. "Because life is not pity show, big bro. You failed, she chose better." "Get out, lazy man," he barked as Martin stood frozen. "No space here for losers." Martin stumbled out, eyes clouded with tears. The same brother he fed, housed and helped through school had now stolen his wife. Days turned to weeks. Brenda never came home. She left their 2 sons, Emmanuel and Daniel, behind without a single look back. Martins became both father and mother, cooking, washing, pushing wheelbarrow from dawn till dusk. Still, life refused to show mercy. His boys were sent home from school for unpaid fees. His landlord pasted an eviction notice on the door like a death sentence. Martin sat that night staring at the flickering lantern, wondering if God still remembered his name. Finally, out of desperation, he went back to Felix's mansion, not to fight, just to beg. Felix's security men almost didn't let him in. "Who you dey find?" one asked, eyeing Martin's dusty clothes. "I'm his brother," Martins replied quietly. They laughed. "Brother Key, Felix no get brother like you." Eventually, Felix appeared, clean, polished, smelling of money and pride. Brenda followed behind him, looking like she swallowed a boutique. "Martins," Felix said, pretending to think. "Ah, yes, my ex-brother. Wettin' you want?" Martin swallowed hard. "Please, Felix, I need help. My boys—" Felix cut him off. "Do I look like your bank thief?" Brenda chuckled, rolling her eyes. "Still begging, Martins. I told you, you were never a man of vision." Felix turned to her and smiled wickedly. "Baby, check your account." A phone beeped. Brenda grinned. "Ah, alert entered." Martin stood there, tears sliding down his dusty cheeks. He said nothing. Felix waved him off like a fly. "Go and find where your destiny lost, I beg." Martins left in silence, his heart breaking into pieces too small to fix. That night, he couldn't sleep. The pain, the betrayal, the shame, it all pressed on him. But then something strange happened. He overheard two market women gossiping outside his window. "You hear say that Felix boy Dom build mansion for Lecky? Ah, I hear dem say him join one secret thing. Na him brother he used to exchange for the money." Martin sat up slowly, his pulse quickened. Used his brother? The next morning he went back to Felix's mansion, not to beg this time, but for answers. When Felix saw him, his smile vanished. "You again? What's your problem?" "I want the truth," Martin said quietly. "What did you do? Why did my life crumble the same time yours rose?" Felix laughed, shaking his head. "You won't understand, Martins. You were always the golden boy, the one everyone loved. Well, it's my time now. I just made sure destiny corrected itself." Martins frowned. "What do you mean?" Felix leaned close, whispering, "Your success was the price I paid for mine." Martins froze. "You sacrificed me?" Felix smiled. "Call it what you want. Life is about survival. You lost, I won. Simple." Martin's eyes burned with tears. "You destroyed my life, my children's lives." Felix shrugged. "Not my business." As Martins turned to leave, Brenda's voice sliced through the air. "Bye-bye, ex-banker. Maybe next time you'll choose money over morals." Their laughter echoed behind him as he walked away. But this time Martins didn't cry. He didn't stumble. His steps were slow but steady. Something had changed. That night, as his son slept beside him on the cold floor, Martins looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Felix, you took everything from me, but I swear this story hasn't ended." He smiled bitterly. "Let's see who will laugh last." That same day, Felix sat on his wide Italian leather chair inside his mansion that looked like it fell straight from a billionaire movie set. Marble floors that could blind you, chandeliers big enough to host their own wedding, and perfume that smelled like pride and stolen glory. He sipped his imported wine and stared out the massive window, lost in thought. The laughter from Brenda and her friends at the poolside didn't reach him. It only made the silence in his chest louder. Martins had come earlier that day, dust all over his shirt, his eyes red from suffering. For the first time in months, Felix's smile didn't feel natural. "What if he starts digging?" he muttered to himself, tapping his glass nervously. "What if Martins actually finds out?" Unlike Brenda, who only cared about designer clothes and Instagram life, Felix carried a secret so dark it made even his reflection uncomfortable. His sudden wealth wasn't the work of hard labor or business sense. It was the result of one night, one foolish, greedy decision that changed everything. As the night deepened and Lagos traffic finally slept, Felix grabbed his car keys and drove out of his mansion, alone. The guards looked confused. Their boss never drove himself at night, but no one dared ask questions. He sped through Ikoyi's quiet streets, then past the edge of town, where the city lights disappeared and darkness swallowed the road. There, deep in the forest near the old Akuta Road, stood a shrine that few living souls dared to visit. Felix's hands shook slightly as he parked and stepped out. The sound of crickets and distant owls filled the air. The shrine appeared out of nowhere, an ancient hut wrapped in mystery, with strange markings glistening faintly in the moonlight. Then a deep voice rolled through the trees. "You came back, Felix." Out of the darkness stepped the Grand Seer, a tall, unsettling man dressed in flowing black robes. His face was painted with chalk-like marks, and his eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Felix swallowed. "Master, I had no choice. Martins came to me today. He's asking too many questions." The Grand Seer studied him for a long moment, then let out a low chuckle that sent shivers down Felix's spine. "Blood ties are dangerous, Felix. The same blood that connects you to him can also expose you. To secure your throne, another sacrifice must be made. Take this pot. All you need is inside it." Felix's hands shook as he took the pot. He could feel it. The power, the evil, the fear, all swirling in that clay bowl. As he drove back, the night air felt heavier. Lagos suddenly seemed too quiet. For the first time he wondered if his wealth was worth it, but his pride whispered, "You've come too far to stop now, no." Meanwhile, Martin sat in his dimly lit room, staring at the tiny bodies of his sleeping sons. The power had gone out again, so he lit a candle and watched their faces, peaceful and innocent. "Daddy, will we ever be rich again?" Emmanuel had asked earlier that evening, his little voice hopeful. Martin's had forced a smile. "Yes, my boy, one day God will make everything beautiful again." But inside, he didn't believe it. Life had drained his hope the way Lagos drains patience. He sat by the boy's bedside, tears streaming down his face, whispering a broken prayer. "God, don't let my children suffer. They are all I have left." Morning came slowly. The sunlight crept into Martin's small room. He returned to the market pushing his usual barrow, but that day no one patronized him. All through the day he had no customers. By evening, hunger and frustration pushed him beyond patience. He decided to visit his younger brother again. That night, Martins marched to Felix's mansion like a man possessed. His shirt was torn, his eyes red, but his steps were steady. He banged the golden gate with both fists. "Felix, come out! You've taken everything from me!" The guards looked startled. "Who are you shouting for?" "Tell him Martins is here." After some hesitation, they opened the gate. Martin stormed inside. The mansion glowed with expensive lights and expensive silence. He pounded on the door until it swung open. Brenda appeared, wrapped in a silk robe, her hair shining like she had no worries in life. "What are you doing here?" she asked coldly, her tone sharper than Lagos pepper soup. Martins's lips trembled. "Brenda, our boys are very hungry, and for the first time since I started pushing this barrow, I got no customer today. Help me so I can feed our children. I know Felix had something to do with it." Brenda blinked once, then scoffed. "First of all, stop calling them our boys. You lost that right when you lost your bank job. And don't come here shouting like a madman." Martin's voice cracked. "What kind of mother are you? You abandoned your children and now you mock their hunger." Brenda folded her arms. "Please don't come here with your drama. Felix is not responsible for your bad luck." "Bad luck?" Martin shouted, trembling. "You call my suffering and my children's pain bad luck? You and Felix will pay for this. I swear it." Brenda clapped her hands sharply. Two muscular bodyguards appeared like angry shadows. "Take this nuisance outside!" she barked. Before Martins could react, they grabbed him, dragging him across the marble floor. "Leave me," he cried, struggling, but their fists answered him. A punch to the ribs, a kick to the jaw, another to the stomach. Brenda stood by the door, smiling faintly. "Next time, don't come here to embarrass yourself," she said, sipping her drink. They threw Martins out like garbage. He landed in the dirt, bleeding and coughing. The gate slammed shut behind him. He lay there for a while, his vision blurring, pain burning through his body. Then, slowly, he dragged himself toward a nearby fence, trying to stand. That was when Mrs. Lolita, Felix's elderly neighbor, spotted him. She gasped, rushing to help. "Jesu! Martins, who did this to you?" He looked up weakly, eyes filled with tears and fury. "My brother," he whispered. "My own brother." Martins tried to explain more, but his lips only trembled. His voice was hoarse from crying, his face swollen and bruised. "Ah! Your brother did this to you again?" she asked, not waiting for an answer before dragging him up with motherly strength. "Come, my Pekin, come. Let's go inside before the mosquitoes start celebrating." She led him into her modest parlor, a place that smelled of balm and prayers. "Sit down there, Jaw," she said, pointing at a worn-out chair. "Let me get hot water and cloth before you faint on me." Minutes later, she returned with a bowl of steaming water and a rag. As she pressed the warm cloth against his swollen face, Martins winced, but he didn't say a word. The pain on his skin was nothing compared to the fire burning inside his chest. Madame Lolita shook her head, clicking her tongue. "Martins, Martins, how many times will I tell you to stop going near those two devils? That your brother Felix and that yay woman Brenda, they're dangerous, oh. People like them will use you for sacrifice and still attend your burial wearing white." Martins let out a weak chuckle that quickly turned into a sigh. "Auntie Lolita, I have to. They've taken everything from me. My house, my dignity, my favor. I can't just fold my hands and watch." Lolita sighed deeply and looked at him with pity. "You're fighting a lion with mosquito hands. They've shown you pepper already. But if you must continue this war, just remember, use sense, not fists. And most importantly, beg God to lead you, because this Lagos battle pass physical." Martin's eyes filled with tears. "What more can they take, Mama Lolita? I've already lost everything." She placed a wrinkled hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes losing everything is how God clears the table before serving you a new meal." The next day, in the evening, Felix came home to his mansion in Banana Island, whistling and tossing his car keys to his guard. He found Madame Lolita standing in front of his gate, arms folded like a woman on a mission. "Ah, Madame Lolita, to what do I owe this honor?" Felix smirked. "Honor my foot," she snapped. "Your brother came to my house looking like roasted plantain. Your bodyguards beat him like he stole something. Shame no day catch you." Felix laughed, a cold, careless sound. "Stay out of what you don't understand, Mama. You think I enjoy this drama?" "I don't need to understand anything," she shot back. "I just know that blood is blood. One day, Felix, you'll remember that the person you're treating like dust is the same person who helped you shine." Felix brushed her off and walked inside, but her words stuck in his head like a stubborn mosquito bite. The next morning, Martins was back at the market, pushing his old wheelbarrow. His back was bent, his palms calloused, but his spirit somehow still breathing. "Wheelbarrow, hi! Let me help you carry your load," he shouted, trying to sound cheerful. Some people pitied him. Others treated him like he was invisible. Lagos people have short memory. Today's banker could be tomorrow's Barrow man, and they'd act like they never knew you. One woman, wearing a jelly big enough to have its own postcode, asked him to carry 3 bags of rice. Martins lifted them without complaint. When they reached her car, he asked, "Madam, my money, please." She looked at him like he just insulted her ancestors. "Ah, you want money? Take this bread and go." "Madam, please, I need cash. My rent." "If you don't take that bread, I'll call Lastma for you," she hissed. Martins bent, picked the bread and whispered, "Thank you, Ma," though his eyes glistened with tears. Another day, a trader at Balogun gave him a plate of rice instead of money. When Martins begged for even 50 naira, the man shouted, "If you don't leave my shop now, I'll lock you inside the store." Martins held the rice and walked away. "Thank you, sir," he said softly, though his heart was bleeding. At night, his one-room apartment in Ajagunle felt like a graveyard. The walls were cracked, the floor bare, and silence echoed louder than noise. He sat on the floor, hugging his sons tightly. "Emmanuel, Daniel," he whispered, "your Papa Don Phalo. Forgive me, my boys." Tears rolled down his cheeks as his stomach growled. There was no food, no comfort, only pain. "God, wetin I do?" he cried. "Why me?" One cold morning, the rain poured heavily. Martin sat by the roadside again, his wheelbarrow beside him like a loyal friend. A group of teenage boys saw him and started laughing. "Ah, see the ex-banker we dem talk about. Now him be this. Bros, where your office day now? Inside Barrow?" one shouted. They threw sachet water at him and ran away, laughing like hyenas. Martins didn't move. He just stared at the sky, too tired to be angry. When the rain stopped, he dragged his wheelbarrow home, water dripping from his shirt. He clenched his fists. "Felix took my life. Brenda helped him. But my God never sleeps." The next day, as Martin stepped outside, he saw someone standing at his gate. His heart almost stopped. Brenda. She looked radiant. Expensive wig, gold jewelry, and a perfume that screamed, "I made it." "Martins," she said coolly, "I came to warn you. Stop disturbing me and Felix. Stay out of our relationship." Martins stared at her, his face unreadable. "Brenda, How can you stand here talking about relationship with my own brother? You destroyed my home, abandoned your children, and you still have the liver to warn me." Brenda smirked. "Please, spare me your emotional speech. I go where money goes. Your brother has money. You don't. Simple mathematics." Martin's hands shook with anger. "So that's what you've become? A gold-digging chameleon?" Brenda rolled her eyes. "I beg, don't stress me. You're a failure. You push Barrow for food. Love can't pay bills, Martins. When I was hungry, where were your sweet words?" Martin's voice rose. "And where is your soul, Brenda? You've sold it for designer bags and rented peace. One day, you'll regret this life." Brenda stepped close, her lips curling into a smirk. "Regret? You wish. While you're pushing Barrow, I'm pushing Ben's. Go cry somewhere else." She turned sharply and walked away, her heels clicking like thunder on the wet ground. Martin stood frozen, eyes red, fists clenched. He whispered, "God, why? What did I do wrong?" But then he straightened, wiped his tears, and looked up at the sky. "I may be down," he muttered, gripping his wheelbarrow, "but I'm not finished. One day, Felix and Brenda will know what it feels like to lose everything." A few days later, Felix lay sprawled on his king-sized bed, sleeping like a man who had bribed all his problems to stay outside. His AC hummed softly, the kind of hum only rich men could afford to hear. Then, suddenly, whoosh! A cold breeze swept through the room, scattering the expensive curtains like ghosts in a fashion parade. The temperature dropped so fast, Felix sneezed mid-dream. And then he appeared. An ancient-looking man, tall and wrapped in a robe, his long silver beard flowing like the Lagos Lagoon during rainy season. His eyes glowed faintly blue, the type of glow that said, "I know all your secrets." Felix jerked awake, confused and terrified. Who goes there?" The old man's voice rumbled like thunder from Third Mainland Bridge. "Felix." Felix froze. He knew that voice. His heartbeat skipped like a DJ scratching a bad record. He quickly jumped off the bed and bowed. "Oh, Great One! You came again. I'm honored, sir." The Wise One folded his arms, unimpressed. "Your time is near, Felix. The power I gave you years ago needs renewal. Without it, your wealth, your empire, everything will crumble like a jeggy bread in tea." Felix blinked rapidly. "Ah, Great One, I beg, don't allow my enemies to laugh at me. Just tell me what to do. Anything, I'm ready." The Wise One's eyes glowed brighter. "A sacrifice must be made," he said slowly. "Something precious to you. Without it, your riches will vanish, and your name will rot like forgotten meat." Felix swallowed hard, scratching his neck. "Something precious, like what, Great One?" "You know, say a no-day joke with my Rolex and private jetto." The old man took a step closer, his shadow covering Felix completely. His voice dropped coldly. "The womb of the woman you call yours." Felix blinked, confused. "Anne? Brenda?" "Yes," the Wise One said. "Her womb must be given." For a moment, Felix was silent. Then, to the Wise One's surprise, he chuckled. Then he laughed, loud, dry, wicked laughter that filled the room. "Brenda? That one?" he scoffed. "Ah, Great One, I beg. That woman's womb? You can even take it as bonus. That one only loves money. She doesn't love me. If her womb will renew my power, take it, sir. Take her whole reproductive system if you want." The Wise One's eyes glinted with dark amusement. "You have chosen your path." "I beg, make it snappy," Felix said, stretching lazily. "I get meeting with investors by 9 a.m. And just like that, the Wise One vanished. That same night, Brenda slept peacefully in their golden bedroom, snuggled in silk sheets. She had just dreamt that Felix bought her a private island in Dubai. But outside her dream, something darker was at work. The Wise One appeared beside her bed, his presence cold enough to make flowers wither. He raised his staff and began chanting words older than sin. Brenda stirred but couldn't wake up. Her body jerked as the Wise One's spell took hold. A strange light enveloped her womb, glowing faintly before fading away. Slowly, painfully, the life within her drained. When it was over, the Wise One turned to Felix, who had been watching from the corner of the room, too afraid to breathe. "It is done," he said in a tone that could curdle blood. "Your wealth is safe. For now. But remember, Felix, betrayal always returns home. Felix smirked. I beg, great one, leave sermon. Just make sure my money no go anywhere. And the wise one disappeared. By morning the house looked normal again. Felix sat sipping coffee as if nothing happened. Then came Brenda's voice. Felix! She groaned weakly, clutching her stomach as she stumbled into the living room. Something's wrong. I feel strange. Felix looked up from his iPhone, barely interested. You'll be fine. Stop acting like someone that swallowed generator oil. I'm serious, she said, holding her stomach tighter. It feels like fire inside me. Then go and see a doctor, Felix muttered, but please don't disturb my peace. At the hospital, Brenda underwent tests. Hours later, the doctor returned, looking grim. Madam, he said softly, removing his glasses. I'm sorry, but you can't have children anymore. Your womb, it's completely destroyed. Brenda's mouth fell open. What? The doctor sighed. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the life was sucked out of it overnight. There's nothing we can do. She stumbled out of the hospital like a lost soul. Tears blurred her eyes as she whispered, God, why me? Back at the mansion, Felix was in the living room, legs crossed, counting money while nodding to Afrobeats. He looked up only when Brenda burst in, weeping uncontrollably. Felix! She cried, dropping her bag. The doctor said I can't have children anymore. Felix raised an eyebrow, pretending to be shocked. What do you mean? Are you sure it's not malaria? Felix, she screamed. He said my womb is gone, finished. Felix stood up and held her shoulders, putting on his best Oscar-winning face. Babe, stop crying, Jaw. Doctors can be wrong. Womb or no womb, you're still my queen. She looked up at him, eyes full of tears and hope. You really mean that? Of course, Felix said, forcing a smile. You know I love you with or without a womb. What's a womb compared to your fine face? Brenda melted. She hugged him tightly, sobbing. Thank you, baby. You're such a good man. Felix patted her back like he was consoling a stranger at a bus stop. Anything for you, my love, he said, hiding his evil smirk. The next day, Felix went shopping and returned with a brand-new Mercedes-Benz GLE. The car was shining like it just came straight from heaven. Brenda! He shouted from the compound. She ran out, still pale from the news. But when she saw the car, her tears stopped midstream. Oh my God, she screamed. Is this mine? Felix tossed her the keys like a magician. Yes, baby, for you, to wipe your tears. Brenda screamed again, hugging him like she'd just seen DeVito. Felix, you're the best husband in the world. Felix smiled, eyes dark with satisfaction. Enjoy it, my queen. You deserve it. Meanwhile, across town in Ajigunle, Martins knelt on his cracked floor, his voice hoarse from crying as tears streamed down his cheeks. Father, he sobbed, whoever has taken my destiny, whoever has stolen my joy, whoever is behind my suffering, Lord, expose them, punish them. His voice trembled as he beat his chest. I have lost everything, Lord. My wife, my dignity. I'm tired of crying, tired of begging. Please fight for me. I know you see my pain. I know you're still God. He prayed until his voice faded into a whisper. When he finally rose, his knees ached, his eyes swollen, but there was peace in his heart. He looked up and murmured, God, I trust you. Even if it takes time, I know you'll fight for me. He wiped his tears, looked at his old wheelbarrow leaning by the door and sighed. Let's go, old friend, he said quietly. Today might be the day something changes. And with that, Martin stepped into the Lagos sun, broke, heartbroken, but unshaken. 2 days later. Martin sat on his short, wobbling stool that morning, staring hopelessly at his broken wheelbarrow like it had just betrayed him. The poor thing's handle had cracked the night before, and he had no money to fix it. Hunger was drumming serious percussion in his stomach, but all he could do was drink sachet water and sigh like an abandoned generator. His children had gone to the public school not too far from their house. He scratched his dry beard and hissed, So this is my life now, once a banker, now a Barrow pusher with a broken barrow. Wonderful, he said with heavy sarcasm, his voice echoing through the compound. His landlord, Mama Peace, shouted from her window, "Martins, you better find work, oh! Hunger no day no ex-banker!" Martins forced a smile. "Mama Peace, if hunger had sense, it would have given me a loan by now," he muttered, picking up his faded cap. He decided to take a walk to clear his mind. The Lagos sun was already blazing like it had personal beef with the poor. As he strolled down the dusty street, every step stirred up old thoughts. His wife Brenda, who had once called him her king, but now couldn't stand his sight. His sons Emmanuel and Daniel, who he couldn't even afford to send to good school, and his younger brother Felix. That one still pained him. Felix, the same boy who once begged him for pocket money, was now a billionaire with bodyguards and a convoy. Life, truly, had a wicked sense of humour. "Nah, who I offend for this life?" Martins muttered, as he kicked a stone, watching it roll away like his last hope. But just as he turned a corner, he heard a loud commotion. "Leave me alone! I said leave me!" an elderly voice shouted. Martins looked ahead and saw 3 rough-looking boys, their sagging jeans barely hanging on, struggling with an old man clutching a leather bag. The old man's white shirt was torn, his face sweaty and frightened. "Give us the bag, old man," one of the boys barked. "You want die for Lagos Road?" Something snapped in Martins. Without thinking twice, he grabbed a long stick from the ground. "Hey, leave am alone!" he shouted, charging toward them. The boys paused, surprised. "Who be this one? Barrow man want play hero," one sneered. But Martins didn't stop. He swung the stick like a man possessed. One hit landed squarely on the tallest boy's back. "If you no get shame, fear police!" Martins roared. The boys scattered immediately, muttering insults as they ran. "He no reach to die, oh! Old man, you lucky say your spirit's strong," one of them grumbled from a distance. The old man stood trembling but safe. Martins dropped the stick and sighed. "Sir, are you all right?" he asked. The man nodded slowly, still clutching his leather bag. "Thank you, my son. May God bless you. You just saved my life." Martins smiled faintly. "It's nothing, sir. Lagos boys are everywhere. If you no stand up for people, who go stand up for you?" The old man straightened his wrinkled clothes and looked closely at Martins. "What's your name, young man?" "Martins, sir," he replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. The man smiled knowingly. "Martins. That name sounds strong. I'm Chief Rich Richard, founder of Richardton Properties and Richardton Microfinance Bank." Martins froze. "Ah, sir, you mean that Richardton? The billionaire?" Chief Richard chuckled. "Well, that's what the newspapers say. But today I'm just a grateful old man you saved." Martins scratched his head, still in shock. "Sir, I beg it's my honour. I was just—" "Nonsense," the chief interrupted, reaching into his pocket. "You risked your life for me. Here's my card. Come to my house this weekend. I want to know you better and see how I can help." Martin stared at the golden card like it was a visa to heaven. "Sir, thank you, sir. I don't even know what to say." Chief smiled warmly. "Just be there on Saturday. My driver will expect you." And with that, he stepped into a black SUV, leaving Martin standing on the roadside, dusty, hungry, and utterly speechless. For the first time in a long while, Martin smiled. "So God still remembers Barrow pushers," he whispered, looking up at the blazing Lagos sun. The big Saturday. 2 days later, Martins woke up before dawn, too excited to sleep. He had washed his only decent shirt the night before, one he used to wear back in his banking days before life humbled him. He ironed it carefully with a charcoal iron borrowed from Madame Lolita, his neighbour, who always called him fine but unfortunate man. By 10 a.m., he stood in front of Chief Richard's mansion in Lekki, and his mouth dropped open like a broken tap. The compound looked like paradise. Flowers lined the walkway, expensive cars sparkled under the sun, and the walls screamed, "Rich people live here." Even the air smelled rich. Martins muttered under his breath, if poverty was allergic to perfume, it would faint here. The security guard checked the chief's card and opened the gate. "Ogade wait for you," he said respectfully. Inside, Martins felt like he had entered a movie. The marble floors gleamed like mirrors, chandeliers hung like clouds of gold, and even the furniture looked like it cost more than his life savings. Chief Richard came out smiling. "Martins, my brave friend, welcome." Martins bowed slightly. "Sir, thank you, sir. Your house is like heaven on earth." The chief laughed. "Then I must be the angel." They both chuckled as the chief led him to the dining table. Martin's eyes widened. The table was loaded: fried rice, goat meat, pounded yams, soup, fruit juice, salad, everything. His stomach growled like a generator that refused to start. The chief noticed and smiled. "Eat, my son, no need to form." Martins didn't need to be told twice. "Thank you, sir," he said, diving into the food with pure joy. Halfway through the meal, Chief Richard leaned back. "So, Martins, tell me about yourself. How did a brave man like you end up pushing a Barrow?" Marty's smile faded. He dropped his fork slowly and sighed. "Sir, it's a long story." "I have time," the chief said gently. And so, Martins told him everything. How he once worked in the bank, how he was accused of fraud he didn't commit, how he lost his job, his house, his respect. He talked about Brenda, the wife who walked out on him when the money stopped flowing, and Felix, his younger brother, who stabbed him in the back and built his own empire on Martin's downfall. Chief Richard's eyes softened. "Martins, you've suffered. But you see, life is strange. I was once like you, broke, homeless, rejected. Someone helped me, and I swore I would help others too. Maybe you're my turn to repay that kindness." Martins looked up, shocked. "Sir?" Chief Richard smiled. "From today, you're the new branch manager of Richardson Microfinance Bank at Kudos. You have experience, you have heart, and I trust you." Martins gasped. "Me? Branch manager? Sir, Yes, you," the chief said firmly. "You saved my life, now I'll help you rebuild yours." Tears rolled down Martin's cheeks as he dropped to his knees. "Sir, God will bless you. I swear I'll never forget this day." Chief Richard lifted him gently. "No need to kneel, Martins. Just promise me one thing. When you rise again, help others too. Lagos is full of people who just need one miracle." Martins nodded, his voice trembling. "I promise, sir." That night, as he walked back to his small rented room in Mushin, the stars looked brighter than usual. He looked up, smiling. "God, you still do this business of surprises, from wheelbarrow to bank office. No, only you fit run this kind script." And for the first time in years, Martins and his children slept with a full stomach and a hopeful heart. Meanwhile, over at Felix's mansion in Banana Island, Lagos, the air suddenly turned icy cold, even though the AC was already humming at full blast. Felix, dressed in a white silk robe and gold chain thick enough to tow a car, rose mid-step. He didn't need a prophet to tell him who had arrived. The wise one had come again. Felix didn't panic. Oh no, he was used to this drama. In fact, he smiled, that proud, wicked Lagos smile that said, "Namide run this town." "Great one," he said, bowing slightly, his voice dripping with false humility. "To what do I owe this divine visitation?" The wise one's voice echoed like thunder trapped inside a drum. "Felix, your wealth, your power, your influence, all of it demands another sacrifice." Felix straightened, grinning. "Ah, so soon. You just collected my peace of mind 2 months ago." The shadow moved closer, and the voice grew colder. "This time it must be human. Someone close. Someone whose life will lift yours higher." Felix's grin widened. His eyes glowed like the headlights of a Danfo bus at night. "Say no more, Great One. Just mention the name." "Brenda." The name sliced through the air like a cutlass. The wise one's voice rolled like distant thunder. "Brenda's life will seal your next level of fortune." Felix didn't even blink. Not 1 ounce of hesitation. He poured himself a glass of wine, swirled it like a proud Yoruba demon, and chuckled. "She's useless to me. She's only here because of the money. Take her. I've got new girls lining up anyway." The wise one's shadow pulsed approvingly. "So shall it be." By morning, his mansion looked like a money printer had exploded. Dollars and naira notes covered the floor, spilling over the couches, the tables, and even inside the jacuzzi. Felix burst into uncontrollable laughter. "This is the life," he shouted. "God forbid poverty ever near me again." He tossed handfuls of cash into the air, dancing like a madman. His laugh echoed through the house, wild, loud, unholy. For Felix, there was no boundary too dark to cross in the pursuit of wealth. Across town, Lagos was already awake and restless. Danfor's honking, traders shouting, and frying oil sizzling in the air. Inside the tall glass building of Richardton Bank, Martin stood before a mirror in his brand-new office. The mirror almost didn't recognize him. Gone was the dusty wheelbarrow pusher who once begged at street corners. Now stood a sharp, confident man in a navy blue suit that fit like grace itself. His name tag gleamed on the desk. Martins Okafor, branch manager. The office was breathtaking, polished mahogany furniture, wide glass windows overlooking the busy city, and a sleek air conditioner humming softly like sweet revenge. Martin sank to his knees, tears rolling down his cheeks. "Father Lord, you did it." His voice trembled with gratitude. "You lifted me from shame to honor. You wiped my tears and turned my story around. Thank you for using Chief Rich Richard to bless me." He sobbed openly, not the ugly cry, but that sweet emotional kind where every tear has meaning. "Those who mocked me can now sit and watch me glow," he whispered. "They thought it was over for me, but you, God, had other plans. You truly prepare a table in the presence of enemies." As if on cue, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Chief Rich Richard, the owner of Richardton Bank. "Congratulations on your first day as manager. I believe in you. Make us proud. Chief R. Richard." Martin smiled, raising his phone like a trophy. "This man is heaven sent," he said softly. A few days later, Martins arrived at Chief Richard's mansion again, dressed in a beautiful shirt that matched his calm spirit. His heart pounded like a talking drum. Chief led him to the back garden, and the sight took his breath away. Flowers danced in the breeze, a small fountain glistened under the afternoon sun, and by the fountain stood Isabella, elegant, radiant, and smiling like peace itself. "Martins," Chief said proudly, "meet my daughter Isabella." For a moment the world slowed down. Martins extended his hand. "It's an honor to meet you," he said softly. Isabella took his hand gently. "The honor's mine," she replied, her voice calm and melodic. Their eyes met and lingered. It wasn't love at first sight, but something deeper, quieter, an unspoken recognition. Chief Richard, watching from a distance, chuckled to himself. "Ah, love don enter small, small," he muttered, walking back inside with a satisfied smile. As the garden breeze danced around them, Isabella looked at Martins and said, "My dad talks about you a lot. Says you're one of the good ones." Martin smiled shyly. "Ah, he's too kind. I'm just trying to survive Lagos honorably, which is already a miracle." She laughed, and he found himself laughing too. The sound felt healing. For the first time in a long time, Martin's heart felt light again. It had been hours of laughter, gist and teasing. Honestly, if butterflies could pay NEPA bills, Martins would have had light in his chest all week. Isabella giggled, her eyes sparkling like a woman who had just discovered peace after years of chaos. Martins, the former banker turned Barrow pusher, was not just charming. He had that rare kind of calm that Lagos had long forgotten existed. He cracked one of his silly jokes again. "You know, say when I first pushed Barrow, one small boy asked me if I'd be Uber driver for Wheelbarrow." Isabella laughed so hard she almost dropped her drink. "You're something else, Martins. You've been through so much, but you still find humor in it." Martins smiled softly. "If I no laugh, I go cry, and I don't cry enough for one lifetime. God don't wipe my tears with sense of humor." The garden light bounced off Isabella's smooth skin, and Martins couldn't stop staring. It wasn't lust. It was that quiet admiration of a man who had seen pain, survived it, and finally found beauty again. When it was time for Martins to leave, Isabella stood up. "Thank you for spending time with me today," she said in a voice so soft, even the breeze paused to listen. "I should be the one thanking you," Martins replied, smiling. You reminded me what it feels like to breathe again. Today was unforgettable. As he walked toward the gate, she called after him, "Drive safe, Martins." He turned and gave her a small salute. "With this kind of peace in my heart, no trailer fit jam me tonight." She chuckled, shaking her head. That night, Martins couldn't stop thinking about her. Her laughter, her simplicity, her kindness, it all replayed in his head like a sweet gospel song. He knelt beside his mattress, whispering his heart out. "Lord, if this woman is the one, I beg, make your will be done. I don't have strength to chase wrong love again." At Richardson Mansion, Isabella couldn't sleep either. She kept rolling on her king-size bed, smiling like someone whose data just got tripled by mistake. Her father, Chief Rich Richard, knocked gently and entered. "You're still awake?" he asked, smiling. "Yes, Daddy. I was just thinking about Martins. He's different, real, not like all those plastic people I've been meeting." Chief Richard chuckled. "Martins is a good man. I've watched him rise from nothing with dignity. But, my daughter, take your time. Love that rushes can trip you." She smiled. "Don't worry, Daddy. I'm not running anywhere." Chief Richard nodded. "Good, because Lagos is full of rush people, especially those that fall in love faster than Nipa brings light after rain." They both laughed softly. Meanwhile, across the city, Felix sat in his penthouse like a man whose heart had been repossessed by karma. The same Felix who once mocked his brother Martins for being poor was now in crisis. His once booming businesses were collapsing, his bank account looked like a beggar's wallet, and even his sugar babies had started ghosting him. He slammed his glass of whiskey down. "This can't be happening. I did everything that Dark Man asked for." Thunder cracked outside as if heaven just sighed. From the shadowed corner of the room, the Dark One appeared. Dressed in black smoke and broken promises, Felix jumped. You said I'll be rich forever." The Dark One's voice was calm but mocking. "You were rich because I gave you your brother's destiny, but now there's a stronger force protecting him. You can't touch him anymore." Felix's eyes widened. "Stronger force? Which Cain talk be that?" The Dark One sneered. "Divine power. He doesn't walk alone anymore. If you want your wealth back, there's only one way." Felix's voice trembled. "Tell me. Kill him." The words hung in the air like smoke. Felix froze. "Kill Martins?" "Yes," the voice hissed. "Do it tonight. Perform the sacrifice, call his name 3 times. But if you fail, don't call me again." Desperation blinded Felix. He nodded slowly. "I'll do it." That night, Lagos rain fell like God was rinsing off the city's sins. Inside Felix's mansion, he arranged candles, cola nuts, and animal blood. He muttered strange words, shaking like a man standing before judgment. He called the name 3 times. "Martins! Martins! Martins!" The third call tore through the air. A thunderbolt flashed and struck the ground. Felix screamed as lightning slammed into him, throwing him across the room. His body jerked violently. The Dark One's laughter echoed through the storm. When the rain stopped, Felix stood up, but his eyes were empty. His mind was gone. Madness had replaced his greed. Weeks later, Martins was at a mechanic workshop in Ikeja, waiting for his SUV to be serviced. He stood under a tree, fanning himself with a newspaper. "Lagos Heat Day Plan coup today-o," he muttered. Suddenly, a dirty, barefoot man stumbled toward him, muttering nonsense. People started whispering. Who be this mad man? Martins looked closer and froze. His heart skipped. "Felix?" The man raised his head, eyes wild, and burst into laughter. "Brother? My brother Martins." The entire workshop went silent. Even the spanner fell from the mechanic's hand. Martins's lips trembled. "Felix, what happened to you?" Felix dropped to his knees, crying uncontrollably. "I was jealous of you. You gave me everything, money, shelter, love, but I wanted more. I went to a native doctor and stole your destiny." The crowd gasped. Martin staggered back, his chest pounding. "You did what?" "Yes!" Felix screamed, "but the spirit betrayed me. He said a stronger power protects you now. Forgive me, brother, please." Martin's eyes filled with tears. Felix, after everything I did for you, you destroyed me because of greed? Felix clutched his brother's feet, crying, I've lost everything. Please forgive me. Before Martins could speak again, Felix suddenly stood and ran into the road like a mad goat escaping market. Felix, stop! Martins shouted. But a speeding car appeared from nowhere. Boom! Felix's body flew across the road and landed heavily. The driver came out shaking. I swear I know Siam! He just ran out! Martins fell to his knees beside his lifeless brother, crying like a wounded man. Felix, why? Why did you let greed destroy you like this? The crowd gathered, whispering. Some shook their heads. One thing about envy, it never ends well, an old man murmured. Martins lifted his head to the sky. Lord, I don't understand, but I forgive him. Please give me peace. He stood, tears mixing with rain, but a strange calm filled his heart. The curse had finally broken. A year later, Martin's story changed. He became a big boy in the banking industry, and on a bright Saturday morning, church bells rang as the couple stood before the altar. Martins, in his cream suit, looked like a rebranded miracle, and Isabella glowed in her white gown like peace on two legs. As they exchanged vows, Martin said, voice cracking, I promise to love you, Isabella, even when Nipa takes light during Arsenal match. Laughter filled the church. Isabella smiled, and I promise to still love you, even when you snore louder than generator. The pastor laughed too. You may now kiss your bride. When Martins kissed her, the whole church erupted. Madame Lolita screamed from the back, Ahen, from Barrow pusher to bank manager, then to husband material. God no day sleep. Months later, Isabella called Martins to the bedroom, smiling mischievously. Martins, you're going to be a new father. He almost fell off the bed. N! Say that again before I shout hallelujah by mistake. 9 months later, the hospital echoed with cries. Not of one, not two, but 3 babies. Triplets, the doctor announced. Martins knelt down, crying and laughing at the same time. Emmanuel and Daniel carried the little babies in their hands, smiling. Dad and Mom, you did this. Martins lifted his hands to heaven and said, God, you gave me 3? Even my ancestors are shocked. Chief Richard arrived with gifts and laughter. You've made me a proud grandfather, my boy, but remember, school fees for 3, now 5, no be beanzo. Everyone laughed. As Martins held his newborns, 2 boys and a girl, he whispered to Isabella, from Barrow pusher to father of nations, God too faithful, you and these babies are my miracle. Isabella smiled weakly. Our family is complete. And that, my dear besties, was how Martins, the once disgraced banker turned Barrow pusher, found grace again. From the dust of Lagos streets to the altar beside Isabella, his story became a testimony that God never forgets his own. What started as humiliation ended in triple blessings, literally. 2 boys and a girl. Who would have thought that the man people once mocked would one day dine with the same high and mighty who once called him finished? Moral lessons. Never write anyone off. Today's Barrow pusher could be tomorrow's boss. Jealousy and greed will always end in destruction. Felix's madness was proof enough. When life drags you to the mud, don't fight dirty. Let God handle your case. His revenge is sweet and stylish. Good hearts may suffer for a while, but in the end, light always defeats darkness. If this story touched your heart, drop your favorite lesson in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because more emotional and inspiring stories are coming your way. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next powerful episode. Remember, no matter how tough life gets, your story is not over. God is still writing it.